Welcome to SABA Studios. Today we have Dr. Abe Jacques in the studio with us. Dr. Jacques, welcome. Dr. Jacques is the president of the Baptist University of the Americas here in San Antonio, and you've been there about 6 years now.
Yeah, 6 years.
Yeah, it's been a good 6 years. Lots of changes in BUA. We wanted you to have an opportunity to hear what's happening at BUA. The San Antonio Baptist Association is a partner and fully supports the Baptist University of the Americas. Matter of fact, in 1947, SABA had a part to play in the beginning of what was then the Mexican Baptist Theological Seminary here in San Antonio. And it has evolved over the years to become the Baptist University of the Americas. And we're thankful that Dr. Jacques took time out of his busy schedule to be with us today. And I've got a few questions for him so that we can learn more about what is happening at BUA. Dr. Jacques, once again, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. It's great to be here.
First question is, what are some of your goals and expectations for this school year?
Well, it's a great question. I think initially, obviously our goal is to get as many students in and get them admitted and ready for the school year. The school year's already started, so we've had a good start, a lot of new students, a lot of returning students, and so we're excited where God has taken there. But when you look down the road, we're working on several things. One, I don't know, as you know, we are beginning a new partnership with Texas Baptist Men. So that has taken a lot of our time and high expectations there for us because we believe that's going to be a great partnership for the school for the future. Yeah. And so we're right in the middle of that master plan piece with them, but also, as you know, we own 60 acres around the 8-acre campus that we're on currently. And so we are right in the process of trying to continue that master plan for that, to look for the future, have a blueprint for the future of where BUA might be going. Obviously, as I've been here as president for the last 6 years, our focus has been the church. Yeah. So we've really focused in on how can BUA continue the work of providing and equipping cross-cultural leaders for the church. We're doing the marketplace, the work environment, but we really want to focus on the church because, as you said earlier, since 1947, that has been the goal and the process of what we've done at BUA is help educate and equip leaders for our churches, and so we want to continue that process.
Well, you mentioned master plan. We'll get to, in a couple of minutes, we'll get to a 5 to 10 year plan. And I know the Board of Trustees is working with you on a plan like that. The Baptist University of the Americas is a unique school. What makes BUA unique and distinct from other schools?
Well, I can speak for schools here in Texas and some around the U.S., but mainly in Texas. We're a part of the same consortium with Texas Baptist Schools, as you know. But what makes us really unique, I believe, is when I got here 6 years ago, we had to come up with a quick elevator speech, that 90-second elevator speech. And so I came up with the ABCs. BUA is incredibly affordable as a private institution. We are biblical in all that we do. That is at the center of who we do. It's central to BUA is Jesus and the work that he does. And we are increasingly cross-cultural and exceptionally cross-cultural, meaning that for being a small university, we have a high percentage of international students that come to our school. So not only will you get a good academic education if you live on campus, and even if you don't, if you live, even when you come to class, you're going to get a cross-cultural education because you're going to be around so many different cultures. Right now, we have about 18 different cultures represented of a school of less than 200 students. And so when you look at that number and you look at the number of internationals, you're gonna be involved and you're going to connect with people from other cultures, which means you're going to be a well-rounded person when you leave BUA. I think that's what makes BUA somewhat unique. I think what else makes BUA unique is the fact that we are in a position where now we have a good one-on-one connection with our students. You're not a number at BUA, but when you go into class, your professors know who you are. You can't hide in class. Yeah. So you're gonna be in connection with the professors, and they're gonna know who you are, and you're gonna get a really good, solid education because of that relationship that you're gonna be able to build with our faculty. Yeah. And Our administration is not far away. They're right there as well. So when you put all those together, we're really unique in the fact that our students have great opportunities, not only to know the faculty and the administration well, but we also provide mission opportunities. We also provide local opportunities of service that are easier to do because we're so small. We can connect students easy. The one thing that's unique about BUA, I think, that, and if I were to kind of finish that question up, is a lot of our students are already on a church staff somewhere.
Yeah.
They're working or they're interning or they are volunteering at a church. And so I think what's really unique about our school is that Sunday morning is really empty because they're off to church, not just to attend, but involved in serving. So our students really have a good understanding of what it means to serve while getting a biblical education.
So affordable compared to other schools. It's a much more reduced price and hopefully a bigger bang for the buck. It's biblical, uh, and a lot of pastors thank you for moving the school to reaffirm the basis of what has always been
Yeah.
the focus or the foundation of the school, being very biblical, and then being cross cultural. So those ABCs are easy to remember,
Yeah.
and they do make you BUA very unique in that sense.
Yeah.
Another question. I think you've answered it. What type of educational experience would a student have coming to BUA? You talked about the opportunities, the uniqueness. The campus is so big, is not so big that you get lost on it,
Right.
but it's big enough that you have really relationships. I think is a big thing that BUA offers.
It's interesting I was just thinking about that. One of the things that's, you talk about little impacts that can happen. What we're beginning to see now is students gathering together more and more. Since the pandemic, that was always a hard thing. But now we're beginning to see more and more of our students beginning to gather together, having communication, visiting, but worshiping together. We had chapel yesterday, and it was a full house, and we were grateful that our students were excited to be at chapel. That's not the case everywhere else. But at our school right now, there is an excitement to be at chapel. They want to worship together. They want to hear God's word together, and then they want to fellowship through food together as we do that at Baptist Life all the time. But it's just been a wonderful experience at the start of this semester. And I think that's what makes the educational experience really unique at BUA is that they really have a chance to really connect well with a large number of students.
Every alumni that I've heard talk about his or her experience at BUA has really been centered around the relationships and the impact that those relationships in a godly educational environment that promotes character, promotes education, promotes self-development, all those type of things. That has been a consistent theme that I've heard over the years about students as they look back on their experience with fondness. I'm a graduate, and these are the benefits that I got. And what I hear you saying is it's a school that is small enough to provide those opportunities for personal experiences, but large enough to provide the educational opportunities.
I'll give you an example. One of the things that we've been praying towards since I've been here as president of the school is kind of saying we hope that when people come, whether they be a student visitor, a parent, somebody from the business world, whoever comes on campus, whether they are a believer or not, that they would come on campus, and when they leave the campus, perhaps in their car before they get to the first stop sign, maybe they'll say something like, "There was something different about BUA. There was something. That was not the same. There was something different there that I don't get maybe at other universities." And it's interesting. We did KSAT did a story on us a year ago, I guess it was a year and a half ago, and nothing was said. The reporter came with their camera person and did a story on BUA, and they were there for about 2 hours and interviewed students and myself and a few other people, and they left. And about an hour later, the reporter called the work study who had been working with her and getting everything set up, and she called for one reason. She said, I was looking at the video when we got back, and we were talking about it on the way back to the studio or to the TV station. And she said, I need to ask you something. She goes, we were in the car in the van coming back, and we kept asking ourselves and asking in the car, what was different about that place? Something was different about those 2 hours that we were at that school. And we thought, we just laughed, but we thanked the Lord because he provided us an inside view of what we've been praying for and said, I'm going to answer that prayer and let you. Sometimes we don't get to see answered prayers. Sometimes they're answered, we just don't get to see it. What a great thing that our students and some of our staff got to hear that what we've been praying for, God is already doing and answering that prayer. So that's what we've been hoping, and we think that that's really unique at BUA as well.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you expect BUA to be in 5 to 10 years? BUA just celebrated 75 years of existence. It's much different now. Of course, the world that BUA is living in is much different.
Yeah.
Looking at the 75 years of past history, where do you think the next 5 to 10 years will be?
5 years ago, that was a difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
Now that the Lord has placed us out of debt, we're on our 68-acre campus. We can begin to envision, strategize, be strategic in what we're thinking through. I see growth. One of the things I see at BUA is that we are right now in a growth pattern. And of course, barring another pandemic or something historic in that way that affects the world, I see BUA really beginning to growth, and I could see it being slow growth. Higher education is in a different world now. The pandemic really changed the landscape of higher education. That doesn't exclude us. However, the students that we're trying to look for and recruit to our university may or may not have been affected as much as maybe other schools. Our net's not as wide as maybe other schools, and so we don't know how that's going to affect us, but we do know that higher education has been affected, as has theological education. As you know, when you do look at the research, theological education is on the decline. There's several reasons for that. Again, we are a theological school, but we're also a liberal arts university. So we're really 100-100 when you look at our university. So it makes us kind of unique as well. So I see us growing, not just student numbers. Obviously, staff will need to grow when you get more students, but I also see the landscape of the school beginning to change as well. Yeah. So we've got 60 acres. I mentioned the master plan a minute ago. So we are praying through a 30-year plus master plan to say, if God continues to tarry and move on and allows us to grow, this is what BUA could look like. We're also right in the middle of our strategic plan. And so what that's going to do is lay out the framework, the pathway for the next 5 years for us. And we're hoping that will be something that will be a bit stretchy, but not unattainable.
Yeah.
And we think that the numbers that we see from an enrollment perspective, from finance, from fundraising, all of those kind of important pieces, enrollment management, we think God's going to do some great things here. So I really see, to use a metaphor, the plane is on the runway and it's gassed up, and now we just got to take off. And really, it's the sky's the limit as far as the Lord would say where he wants to take BUA from this point.
Well, it's taken most of your time, your 5 to 6 years there now, to get the school to where it is. You obviously had a very supportive board.
Yes.
I've served on that board going into my 6th year now. I was there about 6 months when we hired you. It was a good hire. I'm still glad that we hired you.
Me too.
But you had a lot to deal with in the beginning, and where the school is now is much, much different. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share with those who are watching and listening to this video?
Yeah, I think what I would want to share about BUA right now is that, as I mentioned earlier, the school is, I believe, in a position of where God intended it to be strategic in finding the students that God really wants to bring our way so that we can be a part, maybe not the whole part, but play a part in their life to put them in a position where God plans for them to be. As you know, Dr. Horn, in Texas Baptist Life, there's about 1,100 churches that are Hispanic, whether that's English, Spanish, or both. Of those 1,100 churches, we know there's about 300 that are leaderless right now in Texas. So there's a void there. But the other side of the coin is about 800 or so churches do have a leader. Of those 800 churches, 75% of those leaders have come through BUA. So when you look at that footprint, you understand the relevance, you understand the need, and what the vision should be for our university. And so I think that I would ask people to pray that God would continue to be the provider of the school. He would be the provision for what we need financially and bringing students our way. But I would also ask that you would pray that God would give us the vision that we need to have, and not shortchange the kingdom, but have a greater vision than what maybe I could even imagine, because the things that the Lord does in our lives are much greater and bigger than we could ever imagine, right? He reminds us of that. So I really want to be close to the Lord as the leader of the school and say, we want to hear from you, not from me or any other leader at the school, but from the Lord. What is the direction you want us to go? And so that really would be, I guess, final thoughts would be just really the need for prayer for the school.
How could those listening contact BUA if they're interested in being a student or giving or participating or volunteering, or even if they're a local church that might want to come and provide a lunch or something?
You bet.
How could churches or students or prospective students contact BUA?
Well, obviously you can go to bua.edu. That's our website. We're working on a brand new website, so the one we have is good, but the one that we will get will be even better, and I think it'll allow you to navigate. So you can go to bua.edu. You can also call our toll-free number, which is 1-800-721-1396, or you could call the office directly at 210-924-4338. And or you can come by 2418 West Ainsley Boulevard, and we're not big enough to where you can't just drive in and go to office 3101 and talk to Yvonne, and she would get you to where you need to go. I will say this, that we love hosting people at BUA, and we would welcome you to come by our campus, take a tour. We'd love to take you on a tour, provide some coffee for you, and sit down and have a conversation about our university and how we might can connect together. But certainly we could always use monthly donors. That's really the foundation of what we do at BUA. But we do have Agape as well. That's a ministry we do to our students. Again, I'm not sure if you are aware of this, but around the nation, 65+% of students are food insecure. So food insecurity is a big deal all over the nation, not just at BUA. And so we're grateful that we have a food pantry called Agape Ministry, and our students get to come and shop there once or twice a week. It's supplemental, not sustaining. And so we want to make sure that we are there as a support to our students academically, as relationships, but also from a food perspective. We have a gym where students can go work out and connect with each other. So there's lots of ways for churches to come. We've got a lot of need for volunteerism at BUA. We need to do some painting. We need to do some landscaping. And so there's always a lot of things that at a university like BUA, there's never a miss on what is there to do here. So volunteering, if you have some time to volunteer, that would be another great way for you to get connected to BUA.
Well, thank you for spending time out of your schedule to be here. If you would love to connect with BUA, we're going to put up at the end of the video all the contact information for you to be able to contact BUA. The San Antonio Baptist Association supports the Baptist University of the Americas in lots of different ways. Thank you once again for being here, and we're glad you're president, and things are going in a great direction. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.